Hello, everyone, and welcome to the October 2024 episode of Voices of CFMA, Construction Financial Management Association's podcast featuring conversations with industry leaders, sponsored by Old Republic Surety. I'm your host, Sal Marino, CFMA's Director of Communications and an Assistant Editor for CFMA Building Profits magazine. On today's podcast, I am joined by Andrew Norris. Andrew, welcome to Voices of CFMA, and why don't you tell everyone a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so I'm Andrew Norris, and I'm the accounting manager at Buffalo Construction Consultants, a CMGC here in Buffalo, New York. We, that's the day-to-day 9 to 5 job. But then on the side, I'm also the president of the Buffalo Niagara CFMA chapter, which is a fairly new name because we just recently changed our name. So we're very excited about that.
That's awesome. So you're rebranding.
Yeah, we just rebranded. Yeah.
Very nice. So how'd you get started in the industry?
So back in 2018, I was working at an accounting firm looking to change career paths. I have my oldest son, he was in preschool, and you're traveling a lot, you're going all over, and I was just looking to, be home. I wanted to find a company, a nice local company that I could latch on to and be present so I could be there for the preschool graduation and get to the school events and have, family is really important. So I wanted to make sure that I could do that. It just happened to be one of the really good interviews I had was with Buffalo Construction Consultants. And they were a new company. They started in 2017. And so my first interview was with the president, one of the owners, and we sat for at least 3 to 4 hours just
Wow.
talking. It wasn't even it was an interview for the first half an hour.
Right.
And then after that, it was just questions about what would you do in this situation? And vice versa. I asked a ton of great questions, and I could tell that, Joe, the owner, he knew what he was talking about, and he had a really good vision for the company. So I had a follow-up interview with the other owner, Bill, and that's where I got started, right? So I didn't have a lot of construction experience coming in. I worked on a couple jobs. I did my research before the interview, obviously. But I could tell that this company was a company that I could learn from. There's a great opportunity there. And I'm glad I did it because it not only is it great working for BCC, but the industry as a whole, I don't think a lot of people understand how unique the construction financial side of things is and what kind of opportunities are there.
That's awesome. So how do you get started at CFMA then?
So, here I am, very new, I'm learning. Where do you start, right? When you come in the industry, and I came in and there wasn't an accountant, there wasn't a controller or a CFO or anybody. I was the first accountant that they hired. Somebody was doing QuickBooks, and like I said, they started in 2017, and I started in May of 2018. So I used a lot of my experience, but then my experience in accounting combined with the owner's experience in how the industry worked. And one of the partners at the firm I was at, Jim Keefe, very respected partner in the industry, and Joe Perizan, who I worked with a lot, recommended that I attend a CFMA meeting. I think it was on taxes, right? It was which was great for me because I did taxes early on in my career, shifted to more of an audit review standpoint. I was then able to say, okay, what do I need to know come tax time? And because a lot of companies, they care about the taxes, right? And that was a great experience. I met a lot of great people there. You could tell there was a lot of people in the room that knew what they were talking about, and the networking was great. I really enjoyed the networking piece of it. So um, that's where it started. Then I went to the 360 whip course that the chapter put on. Thought that was another great opportunity for me coming into the industry. Rick Wolney taught that, and even though he's retired now, at our most recent chapter event, he was there, right? So we were bouncing ideas off of each other, and so again, the networking aspect of things and getting in early was really, really beneficial.
Very cool. And now you are one of CFMA's 2024 Rising Stars. How has that changed your life? I assume lots of stardom.
Lots of stardom. I think there was a cookie cake in the office. That was pretty cool. Um, yeah, but honestly, I was surprised. I was honored. I don't come to work for awards, right?
Sure,
Like that's,
sure.
I look at it as I come to work to, better myself, better my family. I think about all the people that are working here. When I started, there was 12 people, and now there's 80, and all the people that work here, right? So that's what I like to think about. Um, but it was nice that a peer had to nominate me to for that award and to be recognized. It was very special.
That's very cool. So how did you get involved with the chapter?
Yeah, so I went to a few meetings, and then after I went to a few meetings, I asked the owners, "Hey, can I join?" Um, and I did, and it was good. So I went to some of the meetings. It was good, and then I actually was asked to be on the board, which was pretty cool. And then COVID hit, and my first board meeting was on a Zoom call. So that was a unique time, right? So um, I really joined probably at the right time because I met some folks. Then I got on the board right when a lot of crazy stuff was happening and you couldn't meet in person. Um, so that was my first introduction to being on the board and really getting involved in the chapter. A few years later, I did Spring Creek, became a little bit more involved and was the treasurer for the chapter. And when the president stepped down, I was asked to take on the president role, um, which has been really rewarding because I think all chapters coming out of COVID, it
Yeah.
was tough, right? So seeing the chapter, continue to grow and see the sponsorships come back and see the participation, steadily incline, has been really fun to see.
That's great. You mentioned Spring Creek. We Spring Creek is coming up. Can you tell me a little bit about your experience there?
Yeah, yeah. I learned a lot about myself
Yeah.
there. You know, um, you read a book to go there. I still have it right behind my desk, and I have the I actually, so I was talking to Jen, who is our um, secretary, and she's going to be doing Spring Creek this year. And I asked her if they're still reading the same book, and she said, yeah. And I said, well, I still have it here, and I have all the tabs with all the things that I want to keep in mind. And I'm glad I do because you learn a lot about yourself. You learn about your team and how to manage other people, and what you learn there you can certainly bring back to your chapter and the board. You can bring back to your company, and you can also bring it back to your life, right?
Right.
And figure out what's really important. So, um, the number of contacts that I got from there are amazing too. And
Yeah.
you know, whether it's somebody at national or one of my Spring Creek members, Christina, she's in my peer group. So I do a peer group now too, and
Very cool.
so it's when I started the peer group, I'm like, oh my God, I'm the new guy. Well, then Christina's on the call, and it's just like, oh, okay, I feel good. Again, it's the networking and the community that you and the resources that you get are just phenomenal from the CFMA.
So you're new to the industry, and then in turn, you're new to CFMA. How do you feel CFMA has helped your career?
I think it's helped me become an accountant to more of a leader on subject matter for sure. You get all this experience, and there's so many different ways you can learn, right? Like you can learn at your local chapter meetings. You can learn online on the on-demand. I love reading Building Profits every time, right? I mean,
Yes.
the number of times that I've suggested something that's been beneficial to our company from there, I mean, has been huge. So I think getting that group, getting your network together and learning from them and saying, okay, you're confirming that everything that I'm doing is right. Everybody, when I talk to other people, they're doing the exact same thing, and this is why it works. Or this is what they're doing, and they're doing it a little bit different. And how can I make it better, right? Because everybody wants to continuously improve. So I think the journey has really made me go from just trying to break into the industry and understand, and then take it to the next level and be a leader here at the company as we've continued to grow. Now my team grows, but then
Right.
also, within the local chapter and in the community here.
Love it. That's great. Well, let's switch gears a little bit. We know about your 9 to 5 now. What do you get up to in your spare time if you have spare time?
Well, I have a family, so they keep me very busy, right? Me and my wife, we have two boys, an 11-year-old, and I have a 2-year-old. So I have
Wow.
two very different ends of the spectrum. Again, part of when I started at BCC and I wasn't traveling so much, I wanted to be home more. I wanted to
Right.
be more family centric. And so spending time with my boys um, is first and foremost the best part of any day, right? You come home and you get that big hug from your 2-year-old, and then your 11-year-old wants to go downstairs and play ping pong. Like there's nothing like that, but then otherwise, I love to golf. I love to go play tennis.
Nice.
My son's playing tennis, so we like to go out there and play. Um, we have season tickets to the Bills, so we're always at the Buffalo Bills games. And my son's in soccer, so soccer games and soccer tournaments certainly keep you busy.
That's great. Well, it sounds like you're keeping busy outside of work too. That's fantastic.
Yeah, and I think it's important to have that release because sometimes it can be stressful, right? Your days can be stressful. So coming home and when you want to go throw the football around outside or you want to just hang out, I think that's super important to anybody.
Agree. So, do you have any advice that you've received over the years that you're particularly fond of?
Yeah, I think I've received a lot of advice over the years. And I think one thing that stuck with me is that in this industry especially, you have to work as a team and have that communication, right? So um, we're here in the office, and at every single job site, there's a team, so those teams are working, and then they're working with our internal team, and that communication between the two is extremely important. And one piece of advice that I got early on that I wish I could do more of, and I'm going to continue to strive to do more of this, is to go visit the job sites. Um, I don't think I can get out to a job site enough in the past couple of years. I haven't been able to, but um, I love it when I do. I love it when I can, you know, get out there on site, see what's going on. When you can, it's one thing to look at the jobs on a spreadsheet and in a picture, and it's another thing to go out on site, look at the building that you're putting together, and seeing it all come together. And, you know, everyone's chasing the pay apps and, trying to get things done. But when you see it put together, it really drives it home. So if I think one thing for me, that's a piece of advice that I got, but I would like to continue to try to do it more because I've seen the value of it and I'd like to do more of it.
Nice. I think that's great advice. Well, Andrew, this has been fantastic. Is there anything you'd like to leave our listeners with before we sign off?
Joining CFMA has been a really great part of my career, for a number of different reasons, right? As I've continued to grow myself as a professional, I've been able to lean on so many different resources, so many different people. And if you're not a member of the CFMA, I would just encourage you to join, right? Because if you are more of an introverted person and you don't like to go to meetings, there's
Right.
a ton of resources online and there's a ton of resources in building profits. If you are more extroverted and you like to get to meetings and network, I think it's a great place to join. And, yes, sometimes you're competing against these other contractors that are at these meetings, but for the most part, you're all doing the same thing, right? So the number of times someone shared with me, some literature that they've received from their previous CFO or controller as they came into the role, it's been super helpful. So if you are a member, and if you know somebody who isn't a member, I just continue to encourage them that it's such a great organization and the benefits of it.
Yeah. And now's the time to do it because 12 plus, you're getting months for free. So,
That's right. It's a great point for sure.
well, Andrew, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me today.
Thank you, Sal, for having me on. I really appreciate it.
And thank you all for listening to another episode of Voices of CFMA, sponsored by Old Republic Surety. If you enjoyed this podcast, don't forget to like and subscribe and share it on social media. And if you're interested in learning more about the Construction Financial Management Association, check out cfma.org. Once again, I'm your host, Sal Marino, and I will see everyone back here next month. Thanks.